Sounding. Oh, that's a thing, though. I know it. Yeah, never mind. Alrighty.
That's when you put things down your cock hole.
That's right.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Feeling Well. I'm Ralph, and I'm here today with
Lloyd Howell. How's it going? Are we really going into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is a very dreary and wet night. This is Feeling Well After Dark, actually.
That's right. This is a late one.
This is past our usual bedtime.
Yeah.
You just got off a plane.
I sure did. I was in the great state of Texas.
Were you in Texas?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It is like pretty warm there. It was like windy and weird. I don't know. Have you been to Texas?
Never been to Texas.
It's I can't in good faith recommend it.
Have you ever been to Austin?
I have. Not for South by, which is why most people go. But yeah,
it's considered a cool town.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. People love it. It is. It has outgrown its boundaries by such a wide margin that it is almost impossible to exist there as a regular person, I feel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Couldn't you say the same thing about New York?
Well, it's more an issue of infrastructure, I think. Like New York has kind of built the highways and the mass transit that it needs, and Austin is lagging behind in pretty serious ways. So
I see.
Yeah.
Look, nothing beats the Big Apple, baby. That's how I feel.
That's what I say.
Right.
Love it here. Let's go Mets. Love the Mets.
That's right. I'm a Met fan.
Oh boy. Well, it was Thanksgiving.
Did you say that to pander to me, the Mets thing?
No.
Oh,
no.
Just curious.
Yeah. How was your Thanksgiving, Ralph?
It was fine. It was fine. It was fine. A lot of, when you visit family, it's a lot of drinking. It's a lot of doing kind of nothing all day. It was like 4 days. I was at my mother's house, and my mother, they wake up like pretty early at my mother's house. So I was waking up much earlier than I usually do, just because of the commotion. And after a while, the days kind of took on a hallucinatory quality, because it's just like I'm up doing nothing. The days felt so long. You're not working, but you're not, home at your apartment, so you're kind of just lazing about, and it was too much introspection.
Oh,
I hate that. Because it's like you're home, you're in the home you grew up in. You're with family. People are getting older. I sincerely think that at least I think perhaps especially people of our generation, you shouldn't think about yourself 24/7.
Ideally, no.
I think that's wrong. And there was my mother, she has in her living room. So like when I wasn't hanging out with family, I was truthfully just pacing in a room listening to podcasts. What if I was listening to our podcast? I was just listening to all the past episodes. I can't wait to get back to this.
God, I will admit, like when we first launched, I listened to our podcast for like a day.
Oh, really?
I just kind of listened to a couple of episodes over and over again, just kind of getting used to it. But I don't do it anymore.
I listened to...
But the novelty was still pretty fresh.
I've listened to every episode. I mean, the last one I had to fucking go through and edit in all of Oliver's lines.
You had to do every line?
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Because there was like a lag between his recording and our recording. I don't know how it's usually done, but I did the thing that I said that I might have to do, where I just cut out when our voice is on his wavelength. I spent like a whole afternoon doing it, and I felt like a crazy person. I was like, I can't believe I put that much work into an episode.
I
of this
am sorry,
podcast.
dude. I didn't know it was quite that bad.
It's a little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
so I was pacing in my in my mother's just kind of like a living room, and she has this picture frame on the wall that's like kind of like it's one of those like digital picture frames.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it's like a montage of old pictures.
I don't like those.
And I was just I spent so much time just looking at it because it was like the only dynamic thing in this limited space. I was like pacing around a coffee table, just drinking and listening to music or podcasts, and just inevitably looking over at this picture frame. And like the only pictures of me were like from this. What's so funny?
Nothing. I'm just imagining the scene. You've painted a picture, Ralph. This is great.
Like most of the pictures of me are from like, well, actually, like all of them are from high school. And oh my God, when I was in high school, so I had hair past my shoulders.
You did.
And
I can't. I have a like. I'm looking at you right now, and I've seen these pictures, and it's hard to imagine.
It's like a different guy. Yeah. But the thing is that not only did I have hair past my shoulders, I didn't know how to take care of long hair. So like I washed and blow dried my hair every day. So I had like
every day.
I thought that's just what you did. So I had like very like dry and like stringy and like perfectly straight, just fucked up like loose end addled like curtains of hair around my crown. And it was just like my fucking, and some of them I had braces, and which just made it even worse. And many of them, I was such a, I was such a lame ass. There was like one day in high school where I like went around and like took pictures with everyone, and for some reason that's the majority of the pictures.
Just from one day?
Yeah, it was just like I was doing a bit like, oh, I'm gonna take a picture with everyone I find. I'm gonna take a picture with the security guard in the hallway, and I have braces on top of my disgusting hair and face, and I'm also wearing a T-shirt I bought from Zazzle.com that is like a silhouette of Barack Obama, and it says like, I don't know, some bullshit about like hope will
It was an earnest shirt.
It was some earnest like pun. This is like very early like Obama enthusiasm.
Right.
And this was a long time ago. But and in other ones I'm just wearing like the worst fucking just like Old Navy clothes, just looking like such a jackass. And the worst part about it was like in every picture I just have this huge fucking smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at this guy and thinking like, what the fuck are you smiling about? What the fuck is so like just this like overcome. And it's like I was depressed in high school. Like I know I was not that happy, but I guess just back then there was still some hope, you know.
So you remember the person you were back then, and you know that those smiles are genuine. Like even if you were doing a bit, like you were genuinely going around enjoying taking those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I think it came from like a place of like, you know, it was like some form of irony, like, haha, isn't it weird that I'm doing this?
Sure.
But just the energy was different.
Right.
Like even like if I were to do a bit where I have like a shitty grin in a picture right now, like the pathos would be so much more pronounced.
Oh yeah.
You know? I think I just had like this kind of young person kind of baseline excitement about life, whereas now it's like something has been lost that can never be regained.
Of course.
You know, that brings you back down to earth. You know, and I hate it.
It's better that way.
I believe it is better that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, like this like introspection around the holidays, I felt weird. Like it was like, I don't know, you know, like my parents are divorced, so I like split my time between my mom's and my dad's, and as you know, my sister's getting married, so she wanted me to come hang out with her fiance's family, so I saw them. But it's this thing where it's like, it's almost like you're looking for things to be upset about, you know, because it's like they're talking and like my dad and his wife are like talking about when they met, and his wife is talking about meeting me for the first time. And it's like, oh, he gave me a hard time at first, ha ha ha. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, I was 9,
Right.
and my parents were getting first. And it's like a lot of it's very entitled of me, really, to like, because at the end, I guess my only beef was like, you know, everyone's acting, you know, so kind of lovey-dovey, and it's like, hey, look, this is good and fine, and I don't care, but I'm a bad person and I hate being alive. All right, let's not pretend that's not the truth. All right, let's not pretend where this wound up.
Oh boy!
But I say that, but I really feel like I kept thinking about. I feel like we really ask too much of our families. I think we ask too much of our parents.
Maybe so.
I think a lot of people,
Maybe so.
especially millennials, they have this kind of aesthetic ideal in their heads. And if their family doesn't align with it perfectly, they get very upset. And that aesthetic ideal is not something that is devoid of conflict. It's like a movie, and on the contrary, necessarily movies have conflict, but it's like the conflict at the end of the day just strengthens the bonds. The conflict ultimately just reveals thematically how close you guys really are. And
Right.
life isn't really like that. Sometimes life is just senseless and random, and people construct families as ineptly as they construct anything else. People fuck
true.
up all the time. It's
true.
like let's say you like buy a desk from IKEA. You buy like a standing desk. You're like, I want to be like Ernest Hemingway. I'm going to buy a standing desk too.
Did he have a standing desk, Ernest Hemingway?
That was a thing of
Really?
his. Yeah.
Ugh, makes me like him less.
You don't like Ernest Hemingway?
He's fine.
Oh, you don't like those dead white males? I forgot.
Oh no,
You only read
Do I
that-
like Ernest Hemingway? No, he's.
He's a good writer.
I don't have an opinion. He's fine. I should read Ernest Hemingway sometime. I think the last time I read him was in high school. So what am I? I shouldn't even speak on this.
Such flip-flopping.
Anyway, continue.
But,
Adding a lot to the podcast tonight.
but let's say you buy this desk and you're like, oh, I'll use it for writing. What I'll be writing, I don't know. And you like try to put it together, and you know you're not using every piece, and it's like, oh well, there's still some, I don't know, it's fine. And like, you know, weeks later you get around to finally using it, and it's like lopsided, and you take some kind of like dumb hasty shortcut to like fix it, but it still doesn't really work, and you never really use it because you never really had any intention of writing anything anyway, so it's just kind of like this.
But you did take that step of buying an item.
But it's like you bought it, you half-assed putting it together for reasons that were never clear in the first place, and
Right,
now it's just
right.
kind of there. And that's how a lot of people approach building families.
Absolutely.
People don't realize
Absolutely.
that like starting a family is just another thing that you can half-ass. And I'm not saying anyone in my family is doing that, but I'm saying, what am I saying? I'm saying you should have a little more empathy for, you know, how your parents can just kind of be like inept shitheads. who
After a
phone
fashion,
in.
it is very
Yeah.
easy to like start a family and become responsible for.
But then
the
it's just
lives
like
of
any.
others.
But then it could just be like any other responsibility that you abuse, is what I'm saying. And I think it's hard. And I'm not saying that critically. I'm saying that empathetically.
Oh, of course.
You know,
it is.
It's
This,
just another feature of your life that you're like, it's fine. You know.
You know.
Maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe that's just the way I approach a lot.
I mean, you're not wrong. Like it is this big, meaningful step. Like no matter how you slice it, but like just because it's meaningful doesn't mean you have to do it. Like it like that will always be there. Like if I think we've talked about marriage before.
We have
on this podcast, but you know the urge to do something meaningful with your life is dangerous, and you gotta check yourself as much as you can.
I more mean like it's if your family life is not particularly good and you don't feel fulfilled by it, that's okay. It's okay if it doesn't, you know, because I get it, because you want to feel like there are bumps in the road, but at the end of the day, my relationship to my family is a sort of saving grace. And maybe it is in a way, but it doesn't quite click. You're at the family gathering, but it doesn't quite click. Something feels a little off. And in that offness, I think people can feel very, very lonely and alienated, because it's like, if even this doesn't feel like that ideal in my head, what could? What is life? Is everyone just a rank stranger to me? And I say it's okay. It doesn't have to click.
It does not. It
All
does
right?
not.
Very few things in life do. Things that click meaningfully are few and far between. So you don't have to worry about your life not being bad.
We've been sold a bill of goods as regards the family and its status as this cove, as this
Salve.
shelter from the storm.
And maybe ask yourself, maybe you're looking at your dad and maybe your dad's just like a fucking dumb idiot.
Look at that guy.
And maybe he's got,
look at his fucking face.
People who have that face, you just tell they're stupid from their face. They just have like kind of like a baited, like paused face with just like nothing going on behind it. You know what I'm saying? I work with a guy like that. His name is John, and he like does the billing for the company I work for. He's just such a. He offends me.
Wait, this isn't the guy that you torment on Instagram. This is someone else.
On Instagram?
Yeah, your Instagram stories.
Oh no, that's my coworker JD.
Okay.
No, he's a cool guy. I would never say that about JD. But this is this guy's like in his 50s. He offends me so much because he's like so stupid and immature for someone his age. He's someone who's like very stupid and incompetent, and when he has to contend with his incompetence, he gets like frustrated, like a baby gets frustrated. He's so stupid. He wears like these wraparound glasses and has a backpack. He fucking sucks. But anyway, let's say your dad is like that and you're looking at him. And maybe like he even like supports Trump and he's just like a bad guy. But it's like, maybe, Thanksgiving is over. We're approaching Christmas. Maybe look at him and think, how does he feel? You think he's having a good time? Maybe ask yourself this. Would you want to raise you?
Ooh.
I mean, it's a bit of a chicken and egg equation.
That's right. But worthy of a little thought.
Maybe a little reflection.
Yeah.
All right. How does he feel? What are you doing in life?
Dad doesn't, there's something about the dads.
Also, I just want to make it clear that I'm not like, the joke isn't that I'm not making like a veiled reference to my own father. I'm just saying like worst case scenario. Even so, you got to appreciate that your parents are capable of fucking up in the same like lazy, unexamined way that you are.
Yeah, think about yourself. Think about that. They did that too.
If you suddenly became a parent, that's the same as when your parents are parents. You don't undergo some kind of transformation if you're a good person into a more mature being when you start a family. You're still just fucking you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but you can do this at any time. Like if you
just
find
make
a willing
a person.
participant, you can make a person.
You could just make a person. You don't have to fill out any fucking paperwork. Isn't that weird? That's always kind of fascinating to me.
And the government wants it to happen. Like there are systems in place that will help you out with that.
The government wants it to happen?
Of course. They want more kids. They want population. I mean,
I suppose that's true. Yeah.
They are invested in some kind of healthy younger generation after a fashion.
Are you wearing a t-shirt you just bought from your trip?
Yes.
Lloyd is wearing a shirt with the state of Texas on it.
That's right.
Texas.
No. It's
I guess it's a secret.
It's a secret. Okay. It's a secret. It's a fine institution.
Well,
though.
So far you only know that it says Texas.
It says Texas on it, and it's got the state of Texas on it, and it was kind of given to me as a freebie.
Mm-hmm. It says for this Furries of Texas.
Furries of Texas.
Interesting.
Yes.
And then it has a little guy in an armadillo costume with a cowboy hat on and a huge heart on.
Listen, I don't get to pick the gigs that I work. Okay, money's money, Ralph.
As an influencer, yeah,
that's right.
Show up to have a powwow with the Texan furries. Do you remember what you were talking about?
Oh, we were talking about family. We were talking about family.
I know that much. Yeah.
Oh, you remind me of this is going back a bit, but like the intense desire when I was a teenager I wanted long hair as well. And
well, you have long hair now.
I have long hair now, but back then I also like shampooed every day.
Sure.
And there was a guy that I met at like summer camp, and he had a rat tail, and I thought that was the
Classic
coolest
look.
shit. I thought that was the fucking
Classic
coolest
look,
shit,
yeah.
and I tried as hard as I could to grow a rat tail, but my hair is very fine and it's like kind of woolly. It's like sheep's wool. So
That is true, actually.
yeah. So a rat tail just wasn't in the cards. Like, you know, I didn't
got a
think
very-
to braid it or something.
Got a very rustic aesthetic.
yeah.
To the extent that it couldn't be braided.
I guess I could have tried harder.
Or you can have
with that.
dreadlocks.
I could have had dreadlocks. Oh, I had a friend with dreadlocks in high school. A white guy with dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let's get
boy.
him on the pod.
Yeah.
What was his name?
His name was Scott.
Scott.
Yeah.
Scott with the dreadlocks.
Scott with the dreadlocks.
Like Chris
And-
Kirkpatrick of NSYNC.
That's right. That's right. And he had like a special shampoo that he would use. Kind of, you know, it stank.
You must smell the shampoo.
Yeah. But you know, did you have like a reggae phase? Were you ever into that?
Like where I listened
where you listened
exclusively
to Bob
reggae?
Marley or
When
this guy did. It was pronounced.
but we're gonna get to that in a second. But I mean, I've listened to Bob Marley. I mean, when I was like in high school, I was like kind of like a classic rock kid, one of those kids. So
Sure.
I kind of just listened to all of like the mainstream canon. So I listened to Bob Marley, you know, and whatnot. But I was never, I never had a Rastafarian phase, if that's what you're saying.
Oh, no.
What are you saying?
I mean, Scott kind of leaned into it. You know, he
So you just got into Bob Marley through this friend.
and I was his friend.
I'm saying you got into Bob Marley through this friend. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, I wasn't. I never
Did I
had my
mishear
own.
you? Were you talking about yourself?
I was well. Sorry, I think I got confused. So this guy Scott was very into Bob Marley.
Sure.
I was his friend, and so I was kind of into him by proxy. But that was the dynamic in high school, was that my friends were very into music into specific kinds of music in a very serious way, and I was just kind of a leaf in the wind. And I listened to what they listened to. So it was like reggae and then like jazz. I had a lot of friends that were like played jazz and like went to jazz shows. And then it was like prog rock.
Sure.
And then metal, and
A lot of phases.
a lot of phases. So,
Math rock.
what is it?
Fugazi.
Not quite Fugazi. I don't think we got there. But it was, you know, these phases were intense and they were pronounced, and they kind of defined what I listened to for
Sure.
a while, because I was a follower. Still am in a lot of ways. You know, I enjoy participating in what's around.
You know, you just want to...
And so did your parents.
So did my
your
parents?
So did everyone's parents.
They wanted to what?
Products of their environment.
Very true, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
A little consideration.
My parents were 18 and 25 when I was born.
Really?
Yeah.
18 and 25.
Yeah. Children themselves.
That's so young. My parents
Yeah.
are a bit older. Late 20s.
It's a solid.
Good enough,
Bracket. Yeah.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are now, both podcasters. So I guess who's to say?
But you're still in your 20s.
I am.
You have an excuse.
I guess so. But I'm reaching the end, and we're reaching the end of a dang decade.
That's right.
I was thinking about that too. I've accomplished absolutely nothing in the past decade.
No, that's not true, Ralph. You.
I can remember distinctly who I was 10 years ago, and it's the same exact person. And if you told 18-year-old me what 28-year-old me was like, I know for a fact he would kill himself. But that 18-year-old me was also a preening shithead with bad hair.
Oh boy.
So maybe who gives a shit what he thinks? But yeah.
Well, you. I don't know. Like, you directed a feature film
That no one saw.
I mean, some people saw it.
No. Nothing.
It didn't.
Failure.
It didn't like.
I just because I can see the vague contours of the decade. You know, it started. I'm in college. Awful year 1, awful year 2, awful year 3, awful year 4, and then like kind of like the awkward period of just doing whatever until I found my current job, and just like at a glance, the memories are just of like doing drugs in uncomfortable, overlit spaces in New York, and then like having anxiety the next morning, worrying if I said something weird. And of course I did, but no one gives a shit because no one cares. And just like every day being just like a stilted, uncomfortable little negotiation in my head, just me trying to rearrange the furniture in my head so I don't feel too nervous and bad. And that's just been like every fucking day in my life, drinking too much, feeling horrible the next day, doing this, doing that. And that's just what the bulk of it feels like. Like what was, this kind of relates back to the family thing, because it's like a feeling of like, what was the good stuff? Because the time is not coming back.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
Do you think you've changed? Do you think that? How different are you from the person you were 10 years ago?
Very, very different.
Very different?
Yes, I think so.
Go on.
The person I was 10 years ago was...
Describe and paint a picture.
Well, I was a libertarian.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was...
So you're one of those kind of like right turn political conversions.
I suppose
not right as in right word, but like you kind of
turned it around.
Had a bit of a departure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of like I like Obama.
Yeah.
Lib in high school.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, part of that was my friends. Like, they were, we were trying to be edgy, I guess. Like, my hometown was pretty liberal. My parents were liberal. Like,
really? So to be libertarian was rebellion against liberal. Interesting.
I guess so. I mean,
also libertarian, it's not like, I don't know. Yeah, like I can see like teenagers like
It's-
being like,
I
I'm
don't
a
know.
libertarian because I wanna do whatever the fuck I want.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that every single teenage boy independently comes up with the idea for libertarianism at some point.
That's more what I mean. Yeah.
Because it
But
seems...
10 years ago, you were not a teenage boy.
10 years ago. How old am I? I'm 32.
So you were 22.
I was 22. 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking more 18.
Yeah.
Because that is a more pertinent question. At 22, I was still pretty shitty. I was working, I had a girlfriend. I was working night shifts as an assistant editor. And it was one of the worst.
A job fresh out of college.
Yeah. I was living with my actress girlfriend, and
Wow.
look
at this guy.
So not a big deal.
Right.
No problem.
Necessary to the narrative, I'm sure.
Yeah. Very cool, very pretty. But I was just miserable. I was getting home at like 5 a.m. and then starting to drink.
Okay.
Like I would get home.
Well, everyone's life is bad when they're 22, but I'm saying,
guess
are you a different person? How's your personality changed?
I started saying no a lot more. Like I don't.
Since then, you mean?
Yeah. I got a lot better with saying no to things that I didn't want to do, which was I don't know. It felt
Which
like
we've talked about before here.
Yeah. So that awful film shoot that I did that kind of enabled like a creepy situation, like stuff like that. That happened because
of your servility.
Yeah. Like my obsequiousness.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've largely gotten rid of, which feels pretty important.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
I got problems still.
Sure.
I'm not good by any means. But I harm people less with my servility, as you say. So that's good.
So you felt you were harming people because you were complicit in that.
Well,
that
yeah,
uncomfortable
because
film shoot.
Because it wasn't just me that was like I had this shitty job because it was like the first one that I was offered, and I was like, okay, like I gotta do this job, and like I gotta do a great job at this workplace that I hate.
I went through that too. But I mean, like, do you feel different? Do you feel like you have more perspective? Do you experience life differently?
I really think that I do.
Okay, I'm just asking.
I think that I do. And part of that is because I was like, I don't know. I think a lot of people kind of come out the gate of high school a lot smarter than I was. Like I was
so hard on himself.
You know, I've grown, but I'm not a genius.
Sure.
Putting it mildly. So I don't know. I've grown, but only relative to myself, which is.
You feel different though.
Yes, I do. I
don't know if I feel so different. I'm
sorry, Ralph.
I care less. Which in a way is good, and in other ways is bad.
Good. Yeah.
But I'm just, I don't know. I'm just trying to find a way out.
And you've tried art. You've tried.
I don't like the symbolism.
You've tried filmmaking.
I don't like the symbolism.
Now here we are podcasting.
Well, yeah,
So decent try.
This podcast wouldn't exist if not for these feelings of
That's
mine.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
But I don't like the symbolism of a decade ending.
Oh,
I don't like
true.
it. I want to go out with a bang. Maybe I'll first reform the next stop on Hillary Clinton's book tour. If you know what I mean.
That's a parody. That's parody. That's not actionable. Which
Speaking of which,
that was a good movie. I like that movie.
I love it. Yeah, great movie. You know what else is a great movie? Is The Irishman.
I've heard.
I thought that was I thought that. Well, I was already talking to you about that at my Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
but I briefly
yeah.
got into an argument with one of your mutuals just before you arrived on Twitter about The Irishman.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Some guy, Voodoo something.
Okay. Yeah.
He was saying something like, "It's a great movie, but do we really need another portrayal of mobster teamsters?"
Of course we do.
And I just argued that the movie, while it incidentally features corrupt teamsters, is very much an anti-capitalist movie because the man at its center is his moral vacuity stems from the fact that he never has the courage or the intelligence to question the authority of his boss, which leads him to murder the only person who loved him. And like all of Scorsese crime epics, it's really about how commerce and deference to power strips people of their humanity, and that capitalism is at first symbolized as gangsters, but it is then, bought by finance and made legitimate business, most explicitly expressed at the end of Casino. But anyway, I was just quoting my letterbox there. But what was I? Irishman, murder, Clintons.
Yes, of course.
So on Saturday, I was riding with my father and his wife to see my sister's family. And we were talking about The Irishman because he had just watched it for the first time. And, The Irishman involves, the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa, the murder of Jimmy Hoffa. Of course he was, it's widely believed he was murdered by the mob. And that prompted me to bring up Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
And I was like very hungover and depressed that day, but like me and my dad were like really talking about Epstein. I like came alive for the first time today. My dad was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I remember hearing about that." And I was wondering why people weren't rioting in the streets because he like clearly got clipped, And I'm like, I know. And I'm like, the American populace is very complacent, They're just because they're powerless, because they feel like they're powerless. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
And it's funny because his wife didn't know anything about Epstein.
Oh.
And it's funny to talk to someone who like is not privy to like Epstein discourse at all, because when you like give them the short version, you start to feel like, this is real, right? I'm like, because like, it kind of like puts it like makes it real again to you. Because I was like talking to my dad, and I was like, yeah, Bill Clinton was on his pedophile island, and she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, well, no, there was this billionaire hedge fund manager who was kind of he had a private island that he purchased, and he would kind of sex traffic underage, he would sex traffic children in from like Serbia and stuff, and he would have the global elite he'd come on this airplane called the Lolita Express, of which they found like flight logs, and they would go to the island and he would pimp out these underage girls. And among the people there were Bill Clinton, there's pictures of him hanging out with Bill Gates. There's Alan Dershowitz, who was the lawyer for O.J. Simpson, and other celebrities and very rich and powerful people. He hung out with Donald Trump as well. They've actually dug up articles where like Bill Clinton has praised Jeffrey Epstein, which is pretty wild. And he was like snagged on some kind of offense, and he was put in the jail cell and he was assaulted, but they claimed it was like a suicide, so they put him on suicide watch at a maximum security prison in New York. But then he quote unquote committed suicide. They claimed that both cameras malfunctioned and that both guards just kind of fucked off for no reason at all. And you would think it would be impossible to commit suicide while on suicide watch at a maximum security prison, but apparently he did it, and the coroner said that his injuries were consistent with murder instead of suicide. And you're just like rattling all of this off and every other detail to someone who is
my God.
Because it's weird, because it's unfortunate, because like the Epstein thing is so overwhelmingly confounding that like
egregious.
People didn't know how to process it, so it became a meme. It became like a normie meme. It reached like such levels of like normie meme saturation that this like big titty model that I follow on Instagram, she was doing like one of those posts where it's like, ask me anything, and someone said, did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? And she said no. And I'm like, well, now I know this has truly reached a saturation point.
Oh boy.
So we had to turn it into a meme to cope with it, and now it's just going to kind of fade into the background. But yeah,
it is, which is a damn shame. It's so barefaced. It's like
so brazen,
hiding in plain sight,
and it's so hilarious,
like rubbing our faces in it.
And like a fixation of mine is like, because you have people like Darcy had that terrible tweet where she was like, there was people protesting outside of the prison, and she was like, wow, I can't believe these people would protest the death of a billionaire. Meanwhile, there are wrongly incarcerated people wasting away in that. It's just like so ridiculous, because like the Epstein thing has become another like Bernie bro thing,
right?
Where they're like, only an entitled straight white male would care about this, and it's so hilarious because like ostensibly you would think that these are the people who would kind of like hand wring about anything that can be kind of associated with the Me Too movement. But it's like the reason people are upset about Epstein, and of course it's not just straight white men, is that like him and like a former president fucked children together.
That's right.
And
That's right.
It's so wild to me that like that what the internet does to people's brains, that they could like take something with that like bedrock reality, like that is the soil out of which everything grows, but they can like stare straight at it, but because of their like solipsism and their self-involvement and their privilege, they can just see right through it. They only see anything as something that is just like a potential extension of their own personal brand. So when they think Epstein, it's not the reality of Epstein and Bill Clinton fucking children. It's just a thing that's on the internet that maybe sometimes involves people that they don't like, so they smear it as something that's like a dude bro sex fixation. And that's how it winds up just being pigeonholed as a silly meme, and then it disappears and falls from the wayside, and they just keep on fucking children on a different island.
A silly meme.
Yeah.
Now it's just a silly meme. I hate that.
Does that make sense?
I hate that. Yes, it makes sense. I mean, it's...
And I wanted to avoid talking about Epstein on this podcast because it's talked about on so many other podcasts.
So many.
Why not dive in? I don't know.
Lord.
I'm not even someone who is obsessed with it, but it's just...
Like, it's there. Like, the records are there. It's
just been an interesting catalyst for many of my... many of the tendencies in people that really piss me off a lot, which is like you can look at something very grave and serious and like engage with it, but not really engage with it in any real way at all. It just becomes this ephemeral signifier. You're not actually engaging with it, this thing that is so serious and horrible and real.
It's like, what do you do when the global 1%, can kind of get away with child fucking,
with the unspeakable?
It's not ideal.
Right in front of our face. It's not ideal. Folks,
something ought to be done.
Folks, official statement from the Feeling Well podcast, an international child sex trafficking ring. when I think about that, I frown and I go, I don't know about that. So,
Jesus.
want to make that perfectly clear.
We kind of make a sideways face. And
We go, yeah. We do the emoji that's like the gritted teeth, like,
Ooh, that's a yikes for me. When I think about these goings on,
That's gonna be I look at that and I think, you know, what's another internet thing? What's another hilarious internet understatement thing? I think, do better.
do better.
Do better, Jeffrey Epstein. All right. Wow. Do better.
Oh boy,
Not ideal.
Like everyone, like it's.
Wait,
it's
hold
also,
on. Let me tie it into a meme of the day. I don't know if you have the headspace for this right now, Jeffrey Epstein, but I don't appreciate that you ran an international child sex trafficking ring that implicated 2 presidents. But
I'm currently at capacity / helping someone else / running an international pedophile ring.
that was that was the latest stupid tweet where I was aware of the parodies of the tweet before the tweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is everybody talking about? Lloyd included, until I finally saw the actual tweet. But that was
Which
the
was
one
very funny. That was
the one of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Like, what was it again?
It was a
I think I have it somewhere.
I don't know the exact text, but it was meant to like provide people with a template to avoid doing emotional labor for your friends when you feel overtaxed.
It was a spiritual successor to the tweet from last week.
Yeah.
About if someone were to message you asking for help.
Yeah.
In this like kind of this contract language.
Yeah.
Be like, I don't want to do this right now. But yeah, the latest one is so funny because it's like the wording of it. It could only ever be justified if it's like, there's a death in the family, or like something that would justify life. And people already do a version of that where it's like, are you sitting down, or or they just think about it beforehand. So it's like, in what instance is that actually warranted? And I also love the idea, just again, like how flippant people are relating back to like the Epstein memeification. It's like bandying about the word consent. It's like, to talk to someone about something without their consent. It's like a fucking Abbott and Costello bit where it's like, hey, how's that? Well, you didn't have my consent to talk to me about that. It's
Just
like,
talk to your fucking
do I
friends,
have your
folks.
consent now? It's like, oh, well, he keeps talking to me about it. Like evoking rape to refer to just like
Right.
to conversation,
your friendship.
and it's just like, and also just like,
Because emotional labor sounds like a lot of things, and the thing that it actually is I don't think it's widely known. And like what emotional
how would you
labor,
define it?
What emotional labor is emotions or that you express as part of your job.
Yeah.
Like if you're a waitress or a cashier, like you have to be pleasant, you have to smile.
Yes.
That is emotional labor.
Or it could be work in the form of home building or child rearing, right?
Sure.
Like that.
Well,
that is a version of it. That's where it gets murkier. But
I
that
guess
is,
so.
I don't know. Maybe not.
I wonder. I don't know.
Well, because like that is, it's like, if you do all the housework for a family, that is, that is a form of labor.
Well,
so,
sure.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes, but that's where it kind of gets into a gray area where then everyone they view it as just being there for someone in any way, shape, or form. But
But like
being emotionally receptive to anyone is automatically a form of emotional labor.
I mean, I think like household work being considered undervalued and like being unpaid. I think that's a different thing, but I think it's like,
I think people talk about it in those terms though, because it's like labor that's unacknowledged, even if I don't know, whatever.
I might be wrong. Correct us in the comments.
No, believe me, I don't. I'm the one who cares less in this equation, but
I guess I kind of want to know. Do it if you want to.
But that was my understanding, because then like it was extended to include, because like a big genesis of it was like, talking about like, listening to my boyfriend talk about his problems is like emotional labor, which which I don't agree with, but like that stems from the fact that it's like unacknowledged. Whatever, this is boring. I don't give a shit. But anyway, Yeah, that was a stupid take. And yeah, it's I saw Nick Pinkerton tweeted like, you know, it's great that we all have like sublimated this like cop mentality that everyone has, that like just talking with your friends has to assume the language of contract negotiations, you know.
Boy. Yeah.
But it's like, how much do people really mean this? I don't know. Like, I can't believe that the person who authored that tweet really believed it. Because, like, under what circumstances would you actually do that? I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's equivalent to the hot take factory that we were talking about last week.
Of course.
I think. Yeah. Something pretty egregious that I cannot imagine implementing that with anyone I know.
Yeah.
Without them thinking I was doing a bit.
And what compels you, like, I guess, again, it's just another example of how the internet just demolishes people's brains. Like what motivates you to even want to venture that take in the first place? I guess it's just like, ooh, I found another corner on this thing that I could brandish, you know. It's just so ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people get worn out. People, like... People
but they're not
genuinely do have that kind of...
No, but that's not where it comes from. There's no way. It's not like this person... Because the only people who make themselves like overly available are inherently nice people who it would never even occur to them to like come up with that psychotic shit in the first place.
Right.
So only like a navel-gazing fucking solipsist who's like sitting on Twitter all day trying to comprise the most woke take that will flatter their station would even come up with that in the first place. So it's like, I don't know. Fuck you just vapid demon. But
yeah,
Twitter's...
We're there.
We're around. We're here for it. We're here for it.
You see any... I'm so tired.
Yeah?
I'm so tired, man.
How was your flight?
I hate airports.
Yeah?
Like, it you know, talk about the American populace being, like, subdued. And
you see the worst of the bovine. Worst at the airport.
You sure do.
Bovine's the word for sure.
I resent and loathe like the entire security apparatus so much.
My God. I get so bent out of shape. When I was in Cannes for work, we were on our way back, and I guess I didn't know it was like a standard procedure, but like the security before I like went to get my fucking whatever, my boarding pass, they were like, so were you here for business or pleasure? And I was like, I was here for work. I was here for business. And they were like, where'd you stay? And I was like, I stayed at my boss's. He had a property here. And they were like, where is it? And I was like, where is it? And they were like, what is the address? And I said, why do I have to tell you that information? And then they asked me like a few other questions, and I was like cagey because I was like, why do I have to divulge this information? And they gave me like a red sticker, and I got like my shit checked twice. They like went through all my stuff, and it's just fucking. I hate that shit.
Jeez Louise. Really? Because you wouldn't tell them the address of the property you stayed at.
I mean, it's a thing on international flights where they just want to have like a conversation with you to know that you're not a terrorist.
Right.
But I had like a kind of like, am I being detained? Attitude.
You were a sovereign citizen to them. There you go.
But I my point is that I'm similarly sensitive to that shit. It's like, fuck you, fuck off. I don't have to tell you this information. Yeah. But go on, you're with the bovine masses.
Yeah. But I was reminded of I was on a flight last week, and during the it was like an international flight, and there was a group of like French. I don't know what they were doing. They were backpackers and
frog tourists.
Yes, yeah. And they were in line. There was like two of them that were in line in front of me. But their party had like 10 people in it, and so what they would do, it was like you know like the labyrinths of dividers that kind of make up a security line. Like these French tourists would just like scoot under a bunch of them, and there was a line forming like in back, and like so fucking 8 of their friends in like
they were cutting the line
in groups of ones and twos would cut the line, just like scoot across the whole thing. I hate
tourists and these fucking European tourists in the city.
But that just goes to show like they are a more confident population. Like they feel less precarious. They don't. They
meaning
can,
they're not conditioned to the to the strictures of airport security.
They are much more like willing and able to kind of flaunt,
sure,
security convention.
That's probably true.
But I mean,
we're
which is
we're very
huge
docile.
assholes.
We're very docile, little dickhead populace
for the most part, yes. And to be clear, like I hate those guys. Like fuck
awful.
those guys.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have done that. And if you're listening,
they're also just probably oblivious.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure. But
no, fuck those frogs.
Yeah, fuck those guys. They can go to hell. And they're living better lives than I am. They have less fear. They care less about what the security state can inflict on me.
That could be true. They're also maybe just like high on being on like a trip to the States or something.
I guess.
Right, I guess.
Know. Yeah.
Well, look, whatever the interpretation, they're certainly happier than you. That's that's
no question.
I'll agree with that much.
They I yelled at them a little bit, but they pretended not to.
Oh, you yelled at them?
Yeah.
You went, hey,
what's the big idea?
You know what I realized the last time I was on a plane is that I'm more disturbed by turbulence now than I've ever been in my life.
Really?
And I think the reason is I distrust authority more now, because I feel like when I was a little kid, when there's like turbulence on a plane, I would be like, well, actually, air travel is the safest form of travel, and turbulence is quite normal. But now I'm like, whoever's responsible for this plane, they don't give a shit about me. These things go down. Could very
more often than you might think.
Could very well die on this plane. No one would be held responsible.
Yeah.
No one would care. So when there's turbulence,
would be a fine, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So when there's turbulence nowadays, it actually fucks with me quite a bit, because I'm like, no one would give a shit if I died. The people who are in charge of this business, I would just be swept under the rug. So,
oof.
Yeah. So it bothers me. It does feel like there's like more stories of airplanes going down these days,
with
right?
The 737 Max.
Yeah. That's
a
good.
whole kettle of fish.
That's not good.
No.
I don't care for that.
No.
So you spent Thanksgiving in Texas?
Yeah.
Did you have a turkey dinner?
No. I was just there for work.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
how'd that make you feel?
It was fine. Like, I don't know. I saw my folks not too long ago. They kind of get it.
Sure.
I'm not huge into holidays. Like, if I miss a holiday, I don't feel like it's been taken from me.
Gotta be home for the holidays, Lloyd. Gotta be home for the holidays.
I didn't do Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna do Christmas.
Whoa. Thanksgiving is one thing. I spent one Thanksgiving doing cocaine with Sam for 24 hours. But Christmas is another story. You got to be with the family on Christmas, you freak.
Well, Ralph, I did Friendsgiving with you and the gang, so that kind of felt like I had one.
We're talking about Christmas. I just said
I
that.
tried to change the subject.
I know, you were trying to do a non sequitur, but you're not going to distract me from my point, Lloyd. How dare you?
Well,
a red herring you tried to throw my way, but I dodged it.
My parents aren't going to be around. My siblings aren't going to be around.
What do you mean they're not going to be around?
They're going to be out of the country. So,
they're going on an international trip
without old Lloyd. They're just leaving me here.
So they rejected you.
They rejected me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. No, but I don't mind.
I mean,
I hate traveling.
You'd be more than welcome at my family gathering.
Thank
Lloyd.
you, Ralph. That's very sweet.
You'd sit around. My mother would say you look just like Ron Howard.
Oh, yes.
To your infinite chagrin.
They would. That happens less often nowadays.
And then you would see me just kind of glumly staring at that picture frame.
That's right.
As one image changed to the next.
Fuck. I hate those fucking picture frames so much. Oh, they're awful. Fuck those picture frames. Oh, I'm just imagining you. That's such a scene, like pacing in a room.
To the amount that it made my ass sore. That's how often I was on my feet.
Oh,
and it's
boy.
like, it's a room no bigger than this. Like, what would you say this is like 1,000 square foot room right here?
Yeah.
Like a room about this big. Really just like, how many feet would you say is around this table? The radius?
Oh, like all the way around?
Yeah,
Probably
like 13 feet.
Yeah, if that.
So like me just walking in a 13-foot circle, just with my headphones in and just like occasionally casting just kind of like a vaguely alarmed, rueful glance at just the animated picture frame as it went from one picture of me to another as it gradually got darker and darker.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time doing that, but yeah. I remember once, 2 Christmases ago, I learned my lesson to try to keep the holidays with the families. I left Christmas early because I thought I was maybe going to do drugs with a friend in the city. But they ended up being with family.
Oh, no.
So I was alone.
Oh, no.
So I ended up just taking a bunch of Xanax and seeing Phantom Thread by myself at Union Square. And it was a pretty depressing. It made me feel really bad.
Oh, my God.
I didn't like being alone on Christmas, just on Xanax, and I felt like I betrayed my family, and I was just, and I had this deep bad feeling. Yeah.
Alone on Christmas. I'm gonna be alone on Christmas this year. I'm gonna kind of lean into it. I'm gonna see how it feels.
I think maybe it's good to do it once.
Yeah.
I feel like I've discussed this with someone before. It's good to give it a whirl.
Yeah. I want to feel that sadness.
I can't imagine it will be good.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not that I'm looking forward to it.
You're gonna be here in New York?
Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out at my.
Surely you could have gone with your family if you wanted to.
No.
So you were just not invited?
Well, they're retired and they like.
But your sister's going, you said.
No, she's.
she has other plans.
She has other plans. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But. So, and they don't include me.
So the parents are electing to just leave without inviting the kids?
I couldn't have gone even if they'd invited me. Like, it's out of the way. Like,
but don't they want to be with you guys for the holiday?
I think they do. I think.
But they're like, oh, Lloyd, he's busy podcasting. He wouldn't want to come. He's
far too busy.
Us.
I can't.
He's a podcast mogul.
I can't miss a couple of weekends and like thereby lose the momentum.
That's right.
That we are building.
Yeah,
I've seen those viewership numbers.
Folks,
they are climbing.
Let it be known, it's growing.
This is a movement.
That's.
I can't.
Folks,
sorry, go ahead.
No, only positive vibes here.
Yeah.
We're closing in on a decade, folks.
Oh boy.
Well, how does that make you feel?
I'll tell you, Ralph, I've stopped trying and I've kind of made peace with that.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
I am content with what I have.
Sure.
And I am no longer succumbing to despair.
I'm glad to hear that.
In this department, my dreams have drifted off, and I'm just kind of relaxing, enjoying the day.
You know, what's one thing I will say that I've been thinking about is that my own fixation with it being, nearing the end of a decade. Certainly, I'm not the only one. Like it's something that's in media and print. Yeah. Like every anniversary of everything is ballyhooed to death. But I think that millennials are particularly obsessed with anniversaries and milestones. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to go on one of those rants about how millennials are narcissistic. I'm not saying they're narcissistic, but I think we are kind of self-obsessed just necessarily through the existence of like social media and this like societal pressure to kind of like curate a self or this and that. And
it's part of the whole package.
And I feel like there's just a lot of like, of course, just like in memes, like, wow, can you believe this is this old? This and that. And I think that a great example of that is the fact that the term Zoomer even exists.
Right.
Because Zoomers are not another generation.
Gen Z? They're not a different generation?
Zoomers are not our children.
Right.
Like Zoomers are just people who are 10 years older than us. That's like that. That's not that long of a time. You know, it's like, you know, like like Gen X was the children of baby boomers. You know, like Zoomers are not a new generation. You know, and like
we're marking these generations a lot faster now.
Well, and I think the reason for that is because like millennials are so self-obsessed that, you know, the oldest of millennials are just kind of like, they're reaching the point where they are simply just not the youngest people in the room.
Right.
And the youngest people, and like there are people who exist who are younger than them who are not literal children. Like there are people who are like 18 or in their early 20s who exist. And because of the self-obsession, that is significant. It shouldn't be significant. There's not a big cultural difference. I refuse to believe that, like, yes, like 10 years is not nothing, but it's like, okay, 10 years ago I was on Facebook all the time and now I'm on Twitter all the time. Like that's not a significant difference. No, I'm not on TikTok, but if you think that like TikTok is like a significant like cultural departure, I think you need to fucking log off. But it's like the fact that it's like, wait, but I'm supposed to be the baby. Are you telling me I'm not baby? There's people even more baby than me. That has to have a name. That has to be a thing. That can't just be someone who's 10 years younger than me. We need another name to mark the significance of this thing that must be different. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Like
damn us all.
There's like such a fixation on, and I don't blame them. I don't blame the millennials, but I'm saying there's such a fixation on the sort of curated selfhood that the fact that
there's nothing else is the thing. Like, I don't think there's a lot else to do.
Just the unrelenting and vicious rapidity of churning the self into a brand.
Yes.
You know,
and broadly reinforced by cultural forces and
absolutely.
But it's still bad, and it's this
is the
awful.
content decade.
Yeah,
you either got to become content.
Oh boy,
or
I'm not looking forward to
die face down in a fucking gutter, folks.
That's right. Which is better? We'll leave you with that thought.
Folks, we still got a few eps before the end of the decade. We're going to hash this out.
We're going to figure this thing out,
and we're going to
folks.
end it on a nice note.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
We sure will. Well, Ralph, pleasure as always.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been fun. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at FeelingWellPod. You can follow Ralph at PLS, God Help Me PLS. You can follow me at Lloyd Howler, and you can follow Ralph on Instagram at Ralph Moffatone.
That's right. And Lloyd, happy Cyber Monday.
Thanks, man. You too.
Bye, folks.
Right, bye.